And thanks, Dia, for joining us today. It's lovely to have you today
Thank you
and to
for
see
having
your.
me. Thank you, Neha, for that wonderful, warm introduction. Um, I'm very, very proud and I feel very privileged to be addressing all the wonderful Shalinis here today. I'm especially grateful to Kiran Modi ji for the exemplary work she's done and the empathy and the foresight and the kind of encouragement she's provided to so many brilliant girls in our country. And I'm very happy to virtually meet some of these brilliant girls today. And thank you so much once again for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you, Dia. So, Dia, we have few questions for you today so that our girls can learn from your journey.
Sure.
Yeah. So, Dia, my first question to you is you are one person with so many accomplishments and across the various fields. But what was the one thing that you wanted to be when you were in your school or college?
You know, Smita, when I think back now, I didn't know it consciously when I was growing up. But when I look back at many of the things that I expressed early in life and the things that I wanted to do, I think in a sense, I wanted to be a change maker. I wanted to be able to impact change and make a difference. I was an entertainer. I took part in theater right through school and college. And every time somebody asked me what I wanted to do, I would say I would either want to be a lawyer or a children's rights activist or something of the sort. I remember even one time thinking and feeling that I want to be a lawyer and work with the United Nations uh, and work for human rights. So interestingly, of course, life has its own design for you and it played out differently. But I think at the core, what I fundamentally wanted to do from a very young age was to impact change and make a difference. And I'm very grateful that I've actually been able to design a life, build a life that has been able to do that.
Wow, wonderful. So you were finally able to achieve all your dreams.
Absolutely,
Totally.
and more. And I feel very grateful for that because I really, it's a line that we've read, but I do believe it that the power of our thoughts shapes our destiny. And it's really about how we feel and think that creates the environment and the world that we inhabit. And I think, I was only 16 when I started working. And it was unheard of for, a girl at 16 from, I mean, I know there are lots of very young girls who work at even younger ages in socially deprived and marginalized communities, but from families that are, educated, that have, who are economically sound, we don't hear of young girls going out and finding summer jobs and actually working, having
Absolutely. Yeah.
employment at 16. So it was the desire also to be financially independent that led me to make many of the choices that I did from a very young age.
Wonderful. And I can see how our Shalnis would also be able to connect with this one desire. I still remember when I came to this program, I had this similar vision. I didn't know what my destiny would be and how it would unfold. But definitely, I wanted to be financially independent. So wonderful.
Sweta, I have to acknowledge the fact that my life has been serendipitous. There's been so much that has just happened, and I've of course had at that time I may have had the insight or the foresight to say, okay, this is an opportunity that I have to embrace and do
Hmm.
something. So like I said, I started working at 16 at a multimedia studio, and I started modeling part-time, so I used to do a few fashion shows. I used to take the overnight bus from Hyderabad to Bengaluru to model in a few campaigns. And while I was doing this modeling work at 16, 17, there was this coordinator who asked me whether I would like to feature as the woman of the millennium leading up to Women's Day, in fact. So, interestingly, Women's Day has played a very big part in my life. So, whether I would like to represent the woman of the millennium in a photo feature for the Bangalore Times. And I said, why not? They said, we don't have any money to pay you, but it'll be a wonderful it's a big publication, it'll be
Mm.
well said, it'll be good exposure for you. So I said, all right, let's do it. So I was known to the photographer and the coordinator who arranged this. Anyway, we shot this campaign, and it was lovely because they were I was representing the working woman, the homemaker, different roles that women have finally assumed, other than just being or perceived as being facilitators or homemakers. Um, and while we were doing this photo shoot, the journalist present there asked me about me. Like she said, "Oh, tell me about yourself. I believe you're from Hyderabad. You took the overnight bus here to come and do this shoot." So I said, "Yes." So she says, "Your parents don't feel afraid to put you on a bus?" So I said, "I'm sure they do, but they let me go, and they believe in the fact that I can take care of myself." And then we got talking, and eventually what happened was this photo feature was accompanied by an interview that she did with me, and I was a nobody, absolute nobody. I wasn't a public
Mm.
personality. So at 17, I had an interview published in a mainstream
Mm.
newspaper, and that was followed
Mm.
by a phone call from the Times of India, Hyderabad, asking me whether I would like to participate in the Miss India contest. And I had never consciously
Okay.
wanted to be a Miss India. I knew many of my friends from childhood had big dreams of wanting to be a part of the contest, winning it, but I never consciously thought about it. Uh,
So,
this
okay, so
was,
you kept saying yes to all the opportunities and being the daring
so I
self
said
and
yes to it, and I went, and I really went for the experience to learn from it. I didn't go there thinking I'm going to win. I went there thinking I'm going to have fun because I was short compared to everybody else. I was just 5'6.5", which is short for a beauty pageant standard. And the advantage, of course, of being short is that you're always in the front. um, so that's how it really all started. It was all just, it's been a series of, like I said, these serendipitous moments that thankfully I've had the ability to kind of embrace and realize or recognize that this is good and this is an opportunity to learn and grow.
Wow, wonderful. So, Dia, we heard that you always dreamt about being the change maker and do something for society and all. So, but when you were at the helm of your career and doing really well in modeling, how did you decide what causes you wanted to take up and you started working towards causes that you believe in?
Smita, I started working with NGOs right from the time that I became Miss India. In fact, even before that. While I was in Hyderabad, I used to work with the Home for the Aged. I used to work with Blue Cross, which is a wonderful society launched by that initiated by Amala Akkineni, that works on helping abandoned animals and stray dogs. And of course, after I won the Miss India and the Miss Asia Pacific, there were many more organizations that seeked my time and interest, and I supported many of them. But what I did do a lot of work in, there are two specific areas that I did a lot of work in, which was women's health and children's health. And while I was working on women's health and children's health, I discovered that a very big contributor to their problems was environmental degradation, soil degradation, air degradation, water pollution, etc. And it was really this discovery that the rise in cancer, the rise in
Yes.
all kinds of heart diseases in infant
Hmm.
children was all contributed by the environment and the pollution
Right.
of the environment, that made me realize that I had to use my platform and my voice and my social reach to convey how urgent our need was to address the problem,
Environmental problems.
environmental problems, and kind of be a champion for nature and a champion for scientists and all the NGOs that were struggling to raise money and to actually just bring this information to mainstream society. So I doggedly chased people like Mr. Bittu Sehgal, who is now my mentor. I doggedly chased Mr. Vivek Menon, who's the CEO of the Wildlife Trust of India, and I learned from them. I spent the first 1 year just learning and understanding what are the areas of, what is causing the pollution, what are the areas that need our attention, etc., and just used every platform accessible and available to me, whether it was writing articles for newspapers or doing programming, creating content, making short videos, whatever I could do. I've just continued to do that over the last 11, 15 years
Yeah.
actually.
Wonderful,
And
wonderful.
now, of course, Smita, we all know that
Hmm.
the climate crisis is an existential crisis. It
Yes.
affects all of us. It exasperates all the inequalities that we're experiencing. It makes things worse than they already are. It's a gender issue, it's a human rights issue, it's a survival issue.
True, and we can see all these manifestations currently in our environment, the global warming, or let's say other things. Yeah. We always see you so calm and peaceful. How do you manage to tackle difficulties with so much poise and calmness, and always smiling with such a lovely smile?
I cry. I've cried a lot. Uh, I've cried at some very big forums because sometimes you just feel so overwhelmed by the enormity of the issues and the pain. I think as empathetic creatures, we must allow ourselves to feel the full extent of pain, because that's what then pushes us to work towards change and make a difference. This misplaced idea of strength, that comes from not experiencing emotion, is completely unfair. And so I have to admit that I have my moments where I cry and I feel helpless and I feel angry and I feel frustrated. But I think that when you're a part of the solution and you work towards a solution every day, that gives you a lot of strength. So you can just go right back to doing the work that you have to, despite the trauma sometimes that it can cause you. And I'm sure that this would be true for every one of you. We all have battles to deal with and fight. The other thing that's helped me, Smita, is leading a disciplined life, focusing on healthy nutrition, ensuring I get, and meditation and exercise make a big difference. Big difference.
Wow, and we can see that you don't look a day older than when we watched you in your first movie, Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein. And, and
I
now
have lines on my face, which I love and I celebrate.
I would love to take a selfie with you.
Some.
So, dear, when we are talking about movies, you recently played a very strong woman's and arrived women's role in the movie Thappar. How did you find that role, and would you like to share something about that? Because I personally liked that role most in the movie. I felt as if this is the destination they wanted to show.
Yeah,
How, so,
you're very right.
mm,
So my character Shivani really is the ideal that every woman in some way wants to achieve. Um, Independent, self-made, hardworking, nurturer. She's a mother, and she's not afraid of being alone. I think that's a very powerful and a very important message, and it resonated very deeply with me. I was chosen for the. I don't know why I was chosen for the part. I should actually ask the casting director. But the sense that I get is that now, especially in the last 5, 6 years, the kind of roles that are coming my way, mm, it's really an outcome of my political view, the way I kind of live my everyday life, the kind of choices I'm making, and the way I express myself as a woman. And I think in many ways that kind of influences or impacts the way casting directors perceive me, storytellers perceive me, and the kind of value they believe that my portrayal or the portrayal by me of a part will bring to the narrative. So I think that's why I was chosen. And I'm
that's
very
amazing.
glad. I loved playing the part. I really enjoyed being Shivani.
It felt as if it is natural. You were not acting, it was
I
so
wasn't. I
naturally
wasn't
coming out.
acting. I wasn't acting at all.
Yeah, we could feel that. Personally, I felt very connected with that role somehow. Right. So, Dia, I heard it somewhere in your interview that your father always treated you as an individual. And many of our Shalnis may not have that kind of environment. And we all live in the environment where we have so many unconscious biases. Maybe people don't have that kind of intentions. They want good things for us, but still they come as a roadblock at times. So, how each of us can treat ourselves at least as an individual? What kind of dialogue we can have with us?
It's interesting you asked me this, Smita, because while I may not have experienced patriarchy or misogyny at home, I've experienced it in the workspace and in other spheres of life through my, adulthood. And I'm sure all of us do as well. I think what really helps is firstly for each of us to understand what patriarchy is and how it undermines the possibility, the potential, the spirit of a woman as an individual. And misogyny does pretty much the same. uh,
Yeah.
and it all, I think, in a very sub like in a very simple way, Thappar conveyed that,
Hmm.
film, where essentially everything starts and ends with respect for yourself, your own dignity, your own self, your own body, your own agency, and respect for others equally, whether it's man or woman. And the more we treat ourselves with that respect, the better it is for every choice that we make, whether or not somebody else around us does it. And I really feel, there's a very powerful line that I once heard in a song. It's called the Sunscreen song. Um, don't put up with people who are um, insensitive with you, who
Hmm.
don't respect your heart, and don't be
Wonderful.
insensitive towards your own heart. I think that's really the central thought, that's what really empowers us as individuals, whether
Wonderful and so powerful. So powerful. I can definitely start working towards it. We all needs to actually start treating ourselves with respect. At times we give respect outside, but we forget to give respect to ourselves. So true.
love yourself. It's not a
Mm.
bad thing at all. It doesn't make you selfish. Women are often conformed and kind of trained to think that loving yourself is selfish. It's not. Because if you don't truly love yourself, you're incapable of loving anybody else.
That's true. So with this, Dia, we would like to know one message that you would like to give to our Shalanis in the interest of time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Happy to talk to you forever, but in the interest of time,
Yeah.
um, you know, the
I-
message of the next 2 days is very powerful. Be authentic, be you. But I think what is most incredible about the journey of life is that it's an ongoing journey to discover who the you is. And what I've realized over time is that the best way to be you is to listen to your heart. Your heart is always right. There is this knowing, there's this guidance that will always emanate from your heart. So follow your heart, listen to your heart, and project that heart out into the world. Let the world see the bare tenderness, beauty, empathy, whatever there is in your heart, clearly, magnificently. And I really think that that's what will help you shine. Actually, I had no difficulties, and I've said this, that I was very, very privileged and very lucky that opportunities just knocked on my door. All I had to do was open the door and embrace the opportunity. What made things difficult was when I sometimes took on opportunities that I wasn't necessarily prepared for. So when I chose to be an actor, when these offers started coming in, I started to work. I wasn't as prepared as I would have ideally liked to be. I learned a lot on the job. It took time. So in retrospect, the only thing that I struggled with in the beginning was getting to know and understand the job. Had I started working as an actor with more qualifications in the arts, like if I had better training or I had a better understanding of how cinema is made, I think that would have been a bigger advantage for me.
Oh,
Google is a fantastic place to find things that you're looking for. So you can get involved with the Wildlife Trust of India, with the Sanctuary Nature Foundation. These are the two organizations that I worked actively through the year, and they do exemplary work in the country. And I'm sure you could either, contribute your time or your talent, whatever it may be, or money, anything, whatever is possible for you. Oh, absolutely. I think um, my life would have been empty if it didn't involve making a difference and giving back. So, and I really don't understand how anybody can build a meaningful life without making a difference.